Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to lesson number 9C of A Simple Guide to Tajweed series, brought to you by Blossoms of Faith. Today we will continue to learn about Hamzatul-Wasl. In this lesson we will continue to learn about having two second letters following each other when skipping Hamzatul-Wasl and how to pronounce them. This is the third lesson of a series of lessons explaining how to pronounce Hamzatul-Wasl. Let's start with a quick recap of the last two lessons. We learned that Hamzatul-Wasl always comes at the beginning of a word before a second letter. And when we connect the word that starts with Hamzatul-Wasl to the word before it, we have to skip Hamzatul-Wasl. Then we connect the last letter before Hamzatul-Wasl to the first letter after it. But if a mad or a second letter comes before Hamzatul-Wasl, how we will read this? In the first case, when it is a mad letter, we will skip it too, and connect the letter before it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl. That is what we explained in lesson 9b. But in the second case, if it is not a mad letter, let's have a look. As you remember, Arabs avoid reading two consecutive second letters following each other. When this occurs, it is overcome by different ways, including skipping the first letter if it is a mad letter, assigning a kasra to the first of the two second letters in most cases. Also, we have other ways to avoid reading two second letters following each other that we will learn about later in next levels, insha'Allah. Today we will focus on the second case where the first of the two second letters is not a mad letter, so we will assign a kasra to it. In these examples, the noon in the word an and in is originally second, and the kasra has been assigned to avoid reading two second letters following each other. The first second was the noon sakina, and the second is the fa in the first example, and ghain in the second example, and mim in the third example.
إن افتريته أن اغدوا أن امشوا.
But in the following examples, Hamzatul-Wasl is preceded by Tanween, which is noon sakina at the end of nouns, but it is written as a double Harakat. So we will assign a kasra to the noon sakina of Tanween to avoid reading two second letters following each other. In this example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is the noon sakina of Tanween, and the letter after it is lam. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is lam in this example.
سواء العاكف.
In the first example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween, and the letter after it is letter lam sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is lam in this example. The alif after ra with Tanween fatha will never be pronounced when connecting the two words. This alif always accompanies Tanween fatha. We will learn more about it next lesson when we learn about stopping rules, insha'Allah.
خيرا الوصية.
In the second example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween, and the letter after is the letter noon sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is noon in this example.
لهوا انفضوا لهوا انفضوا.
In the first example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween, and the letter after it is letter Ayn sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is Ayn in this example.
راسيات اعملوا راسيات اعملوا.
In the second example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween and the letter after it is letter Lam sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is Lam in this example.
يومئذ الحق يومئذ الحق.
In the third example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween, and the letter after is letter Jim sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is Jim in this example.
خبيثة اجتثت خبيثة اجتثت.
In the first example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween, and the letter after it is letter Ta sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is Ta in this example.
خير اطمأن خير اطمأن.
In the second example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween and the letter after is letter noon sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is noon in this example.
فتنة انقلب فتنة انقلب.
In the third example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween and the letter after is letter Lam sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is Lam in this example.
كذبت عاد المرسلين كذبت عاد المرسلين.
In the last example, when we skip Hamzatul-Wasl, the letter before it is noon sakina of Tanween, and the letter after is letter Ba sakina. To avoid reading two second letters following each other, we will assign kasra to noon sakina of Tanween and connect it to the letter after Hamzatul-Wasl, which is Ba in this example.
نوح ابنه نوح ابنه.
As you have noticed, it doesn't matter the type of Tanween. We pronounce the letter with Tanween with its Harakat, and we assign a kasra only to the noon sakina of Tanween to avoid reading two second letters following each other. Thank you for listening, and see you next lesson where we will learn more about Hamzatul-Wasl. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.